The Astros are 4-6 in their last 10 games. The Angels have won 3 games in a row. They're 5-5. The Texas Rangers, they're 14 games out. They're 66-67. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. Seattle Mariners are 66-68. They're 14.5 games out. 3-7 in their last 10 games. They've lost 5 games in a row. The Oakland A's, I'm disappointed in the Oakland A's. I thought they were a smidge, just a smidge better than they are, but evidently they're not. But they're not as bad as the Chicago White Sox. So, I don't know if that's good or bad. The Athletics are 58-75, 22 games out, lost 3 games in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. In the National League East, the Washington Nationals are 81-51. They're 15 games up on the Miami Marlins. 15 games up on the Miami Marlins. They're 81-51. They've won 4 games in a row. They're 7-3. They start a 4-game stand against the Milwaukee Brewers. This is where the Brewers prove to everybody that we are for real. We are for real. You win 3 out of 4 against the Nationals. Now, the last time these two teams met, they went at each other. They scored runs. They hit home runs. Everything. I mean, it was the kitchen sink. And it's going to happen again, but the Brewers are going to come out. They're going to win 3 of 4. I'd take 2 out of 2. 2 out of 2 against the Nationals. I'd take that as a positive. They've won 4 games in a row, 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Miami Marlins are 66-66. They're 15 games back. Lost 3 games in a row. They're 6-4 in the last 10 games. The Atlanta Braves, I'm going to give the Atlanta Braves credit because they're 21.5 games out. They're 59-72. They've won 2 games in a row. They're 5-5. Just about everybody said the Braves are as bad as the Philadelphia Phillies, or at least as bad as the Chicago White Sox. But guess what? They're better than the New York Mets, because the Mets are only 50-75. The Mets are 23.5 games back. The Mets have 4-6 in their last 10 games. The Atlanta Braves are 5-5. They've won 2 games in a row. The Philadelphia Phillies continue to be the worst team in baseball. I mean, record-wise, they're the worst team in baseball. They're 49-83, 32 games out. They've lost 2 games in a row, and they're 4-6 in their last 10 games. And the Central Division, the Chicago Cubs are 72-60, 3.5 games up on your Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the Cubs have won 3 games in a row, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Brewers are 6-4 in their last 10 games. Of course, they beat the Cardinals last night. The Cardinals are 66-66. They're 3-7 in the last 10 games. The Pirates at 63-71. They've lost 3 games in a row. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. The Cincinnati Reds are saying, hey, listen, we're not as bad as the Chicago White Sox. We're not as bad as the Oakland A's. We're not as bad as the Philadelphia Phillies. We're 4-6 in the last 10 games. They're only 16 games out. They're 57-77. Hey, way to go, Cincinnati Reds. And out west, the best team in baseball. Except when they play your Milwaukee Brewers. The Dodgers are 91-40. Now, they've lost 4 games in a row, and they're 4-6. And let me tell you something. The management of the Los Angeles Dodgers, right now, we're telling them this ends. This ends now. This ends now, because the Arizona Diamondbacks, now they're 17 games back, but they've won 6 games in a row. They're 8-2. They are playing fantastic baseball. 75-58. The Colorado Rockies are 72-61. The Rockies are tailing off. They're 4-6 as the weather turns a little cooler up there in the high country. So do the Rockies. I don't know. I just made that up. Is that true? Is it starting to cool down in Denver? Somebody look that up for me. My crack staff. San Diego Padres 59-74. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games. The San Francisco Giants suck. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. They are a bad baseball team this year. 53-82. They've lost 2 games in a row. They're 3-7 in their last 2 games. Wild card standings right now in the American League. The Yankees and the Twins have the top 2 spots. The Diamondbacks and the Rockies have the top 2 spots in the National League, with the Brewers 3 games out. The Angels of Los Angeles are 1.5 games out. Baltimore's only 2 games out. Tampa Bay and Texas are 4 games out. So this is a wild card race in the American League. Not so much in the National League. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more Milwaukee Brewers right here on the big show. We call it Brewtown Sports.
Baseball is the president tossing out the first ball of the season. and a scrubby schoolboy playing catch with his dad on a Mississippi farm. A tall, thin old man waving a scorecard from his corner of his dugout. That's baseball. So is a big fat guy with a bulbous nose running home one of his 714 home runs. There's a man in Mobile who remembers that Honus Wagner hit a triple in Pittsburgh 46 years ago. That's baseball. So is a scout reporting that a 16-year-old Sandlot pitcher in Cheyenne is a coming Walter Johnson. Baseball is a spirited race of man against man, reflex against reflex, a game of inches. Every skill is measured, every heroic, every failing is seen and cheered, or booed and then becomes a statistic. In baseball, democracy shines its clearest. The only race that matters is a race to the bag. The creed is a rule book, and color merely something to distinguish one team's uniform from another. Baseball is a rookie, his experience no bigger than the lump at his throat as he begins fulfillment of his dream. It's a veteran, too, a tired old man of 35, hoping that those aching muscles can pull him through a sweltering August and September. Nicknames of baseball, names like Zeke and Pie and Kai and Home Run and Dizzy and Dancy. Baseball is the clear, cool eyes of Rogers Hornsby, the flashing spikes of a Ty Cobb, and an overage pixie named Rabbit Babanville. Baseball, it's just a game, as simple as a ball and bat, and yet as complex as the American spirit it symbolizes. It's a sport, a business, sometimes almost even religion, while the fairy tale of Willie Mays dashing off to play stickball in the streets with his teenage pals, that's baseball. And so is the husky voice of a doomed Lou Gehrig saying, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of this earth. Baseball is cigar smoke, hot roasted peanuts, ladies' day, down in front. Take me out to the ball game and the Star-Spangled Banner. Baseball is a man named Campanella telling the nation's business leaders, you have to be a man to be a big leaguer, but you have to have a lot of little boy in you too. This is a game for America, this baseball, a game for boys and for men.
I have to admit, every time I hear that, I get a little teary-eyed. A little teary-eyed. Ernie Hartwell, the great voice for many years of the Detroit Tigers, explaining why baseball is the greatest thing. It really is. Oh, gotta wipe away the tears. You're listening to The Big Show. We call it Brewtownsports. Look for us on Twitter and Facebook. Brewtownsports on Twitter, and then Facebook, it's Mr. Brewtown. You know this already. BaseballTalkRadio.com, Spreaker, Podomatic Player, FM, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes.com, and the 405media.com, Super Live Talk and Righteous Podcast. Email the show at MrBrewtown78 at gmail.com. Let's take a look at the Brewers' schedule for the rest of the season. The Brewers are still in the race. I can't believe that. I mean, at the beginning of the year, we looked at the roster. We went, who are these guys? I mean, what is going on? Reinbraun? Reinbraun, that's it. I mean, who's Eric Thames? I was all over the Milwaukee Brewers for paying Eric Thames. I still say that they're overpaying him. He's having a decent season this year. He got out to a great start. We all know this, okay? I know some people look at it, oh, he's got 28 home runs. Oh, okay, that's great. The future first baseman of the Milwaukee Brewers is Jesus Aguilar. That's it. Eric Thames next year will be, okay, he'll play some and he'll still be in the line in the third year. What happened to Eric Thames? We were all sitting there going, who are these guys? Orlando Arcia, can he really play? Is he going to get some offense going? He did. Kean Broxton, is this guy ready? Who are these other? Jeff Bandy, who's this guy? We didn't know any of these guys. We thought, oh, my goodness gracious. What is going to happen to the Milwaukee Brewers? We're going to be as bad as the Philadelphia Phillies. Mr. Brewtown may kill himself. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. 3.5 games out. We're in the middle of a wild card race. And Mr. Brewtown has not been this excited all season long. The schedule for the rest of the season. Tonight, the Milwaukee Brewers take on the Nationals right here in the greatest baseball city in the world. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tomorrow they got the Nationals, Saturday the Nationals, and then on Sunday they got the Nationals right here in Milwaukee. Everybody's excited. I mean, it's just unbelievable. People in Madison are excited. People in Green Bay, they're watching Packers. Appleton, Oshkosh, Fond du Lac, West Bend, Sheboygan, Racine, Kenosha, Wausau, Wisconsin. Man, they're all checking in. They're saying we love the Brewers. Stevens Point checked in. They said we love the Milwaukee Brewers. Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Black River Falls, Wisconsin never gets mentioned on the big show. We just mentioned it right now. They are checking in. They love the Milwaukee Brewers. Superior, Wisconsin, Duluth, Minnesota, up north there. They've checked in. They say we love the Milwaukee Brewers. Escanaba, Michigan has checked in to the big show, and they're loving it. In Escanaba, Michigan, they're saying we love the Milwaukee Brewers. So there you go. Monday, September 4th. And more, I start to become red buttons. I really do. Monday, September 4th, the Milwaukee Brewers head off to Cincinnati. They take on the Reds for a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday set. They then have the 7th off. Then they play the Cubs in Chicago, down there at that new Urine Stain Stadium on the north side of Chicago. Some people call it Wrigley Field. I don't. They got a weekend series against the Cubs. Then they come home and the Pirates come to town for a 3-game set. Then they have the 14th off. Once again, a Thursday off. The Brewers can kind of chill, get some laundry done, clean their house, vacuum, get ready for the postseason. I threw that in there. The 15th, they head off to Miami, take on the Marlins for a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday set. Then they just kind of fly into Pittsburgh for 3 days. They take on the Pirates. Then they come home on the 21st of September. Now, this is when it gets serious, folks, because then you got the Cubs for a 4-game set near the end of the season. These two teams, I'm serious, folks, these two teams are going to be 1 or 2 games separating for the division title. For the division title. The Brewers got a 4-game set right here in Milwaukee against the Cubs. You Brewers fans that sell your tickets to the Cubs fans, not for that 4-game set. We need to have every single seat as a Milwaukee Brewer fan. I don't want to see any of those Cubs jerseys. I don't want to see any Cubs hats. Not this late in the season, and not when we're going to win the division. And we have to do it. We got to beat the Chicago Cubs. So you people that think you're going to sell your tickets, you do. You're traitors. You are a traitor to your team. Mark Antanasio himself should come out and do a commercial like that. The Cubs on a 4-game set. They have the 25th. Then they finish up the season, or finish up their home part of the season. 3-game set against the Reds and 2 against the Cardinals to end September. And then we go into October baseball. October 1st, the last game of the season against the Cardinals. So basically, the last month of the season, it's all division foes, man. And the Brewers are 3.5 games out. 3.5 games out. They're in a wild card race. This is unbelievable. 3 games out of the wild card. The Rockies have not been playing well. The Arizona Diamondbacks are playing great baseball. Absolutely great baseball. But that could change in September. The Brewers, if they continue to play, if they play like they played last night, and if they play the way that they have been playing over the last week and a half, why not? Why not? Why can't the Milwaukee Brewers win the division? Why can't the Milwaukee Brewers get the wild card spot? Why can't I have a season where I can say, playoff baseball? Because I've been a Brewers fan for a long time, and I haven't had a lot of those years, so let's do it. Let's do it, Milwaukee Brewers. You fans, you got to start yelling out your window. You got to start believing in your Milwaukee Brewers. That's pretty much our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure enjoyed giving it to you. You are listening to The Big Show. We call it Brewtown Sports. Look for us on Twitter. Look for us on Facebook. You can listen to the show at baseballtalkradio.com, Spreaker, Podomatic Player, FM, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes.com. Also, the 405media.com, Super Live Talk, Righteous Podcast. You can email the show, MrBrewtown78 at gmail.com. Have a good day, everybody. Broadcasting from the greatest city in the world, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Mr. Brewtown has left the studios. Drive home safely.